All right, howdy folks. Welcome back to Top Comics Press, and this one's going to be a slightly different case study. It's been a while since I did one of these videos where I handle what I would consider to be a truly delicate book. So this is a copy of The Amazing Spider-Man number 9, which of course is one of the epic first appearances of a key Spider-Man villain, in this case the Electro. Now, part of what I want to do here is draw a distinction between a book that is fragile and one that is brittle. In this case, the page quality looks pretty good, and you can see on the bottom all the way up to the top there's not a huge change in color from the center of the page to the outer side of the page, and these inner wraps for the most part are quite supple, so if you bend it and twist it, there's not like a piece that's going to fall off. What this book is very fragile because of the extent of the structural damage. And so if we look here across the top and the spine there, you can see that that top staple, if it's attached, is barely holding on. There is extensive lateral spine tearing, a little bit of a spine roll, and the bottom staple, you'll notice, is impossible to see from the outside. And what we can do is open it on up from the inside very, very carefully and see if we can see it at all. And so if you look down there, you can see that there's just a hint of gray in there, which means it's detached from the front cover, likely the first few wraps, but it is still in the comic. And that's about as far as we want to open that thing, because we want to make sure we preserve that top staple. So when dealing with a book like this, never lay it flat, never get a picture of the book just sitting out. In addition to that, though, you can see that there are a number of bits that are folded over there. There's a big tear there. There's a little bit down here on the corner. And we can try to look under that front cover to see if the piece on the inside there, if you look, you can see it is folded under on the inside of that cover. There is tearing over here that it looks like it's missing paper. And if you flip it on over to the back, there's going to be big pieces that are dog-eared and crumpled up. And so this one is not a great candidate for a press just because of the extent of all of that damage. But what it is a really good candidate for a little bit of hand ironing to see if we can fold those pieces back over. Now, if this book had extensive tanning and you tried to do this, you might pop those pieces off. But the tools we're going to look at here is going to be my handy dandy water squirt bottle, a Q-tip, and then a cotton round, and then I have my regular parchment paper for ironing. And what we're going to do here is gently dab some of the moisture on these spots, gently roll them on over with a little bit of a metal spatula. I got these off of Amazon. It's just a little scientific spatula. This one's from VWR, but you can get it, any brand that you want. It's really unimportant. All you need is something that has a little bit of a fine edge there. This one looks like it's got a little bit of fuzz on there, so we'll clear that off. Yeah, and we're just gonna gently slab that under there after we moisten it, and then we'll hit it with a little bit of a tacking iron, and hopefully that'll hold it on down. You never want to spray the water over your comic book, so I always do that off screen and just saturate the Q-tip. And so if you look there on my wrist or on my glove, you can see it definitely has some moisture that it's giving off. I've got my Hanger 9 tacking iron here set right at about the 2 on the dial. And what I'm going to do is just very gently and very slowly go over this thing and try to fold as much of this stuff back as we can. And you don't want to use too much humidity, because if you do, you'll actually, whatever tanning is there, you'll, you can see the spatula just gently slide under there and fold it on over. But if you put too much humidity there, you will actually cause new staining from the little dabs of water. And so it's really important that you are quite minimal on that, so you definitely don't want this dripping in any way. And then what we're going to do on the interior wraps, you can just directly put the iron on there. You won't damage it, especially if it's set at a modest setting and you're not, hammering it really, really long and letting it sit there. What we're doing is just moistening that paper, and then we're just going to dry it back out with a little touch of the hand iron there. On the cover, I generally, that one folded back under the wrong way. That'll be about it on that. On the cover, I tried to do the same thing, but what we're going to do is try to use that SRP paper over it. We're going to have to try to be as delicate as we can, not to jostle the cover, in the hopes of preserving that top staple. Staple detaching one takes you, I think, down to a 6 or a 7 in the grade. Detaching the second one, I think, maxes you at a 4 if the book is in otherwise perfect condition. 5 if it is a Golden Age book with a single center staple. But we're just going to try to do this across the whole cover here. And try to get as many of these little goobers to fold on over. And it's never going to be a high-grade book, and it's not one that I think is a particularly great candidate for a press, given all the structural damage to it. But I do think it's one that we can improve the overall eye appeal by trying to treat these little foldovers with our little hand iron. And we'll hopefully here we'll keep all of these intact, but don't be too hard on yourself if one comes off. You can see how much creasing there is right here. All of those creases are, you know, definitely compromised paper, and it does not take much to detach them. And so it's really important to have, you know, a light amount of humidity on that Q-tip and try to be as respectful as possible to paper integrity. Now for tears like this, you can see that big white area. What I'm trying to do is figure out if there's color visible on the back, because you can fold these tears, you know, this way or this way, and often one part of that is colored and the other part is not. And you might ask, well, how is that? Well, if the taper rips perfectly through, both sides will be perfect, but generally the fibers don't split straight. They split at a little bit of a horizontal angle, and so you want to attach them the right way. In this particular case, I don't see a lot of color on the inside. I'm also looking right here to see if that's folded over paper, but I believe that might actually be a little bit of folded over paper. So let's see what we can do with this. And this is going to come off really if you put any force or pressure behind it. So this is definitely a gentle deal. But we've got, yeah, there we go. That was indeed more. Now that's definitely the color being over the top this way. So if you did it the other way, it would have been a problem, which is why I checked the inside to see if I could see that color. And you don't need any force with this iron. You're literally just letting it hover over there and project a little bit of heat down. I think that's about as good as that's going to get. And I don't think I want to screw with anything around that top staple, given that's our point of structural integrity there. Now the tear here, I think, might actually come all the way from the back. And this is going to be one of the more delicate areas to get at, because we don't want to fully open the cover if we can avoid it. And so I'm going to just try to gently massage that Q-tip underneath and let the weight of the cover stick, and then see if I can fold it out. It's there. Once I can get that first fold over. But again, if I open it all the way up, I'm going to stress that point of attachment on the top staple, and you can see there's already just extensive tearing around there. And so the goal of this is to try to keep that top staple as attached as we possibly can. Move my iron so I don't hit it with my elbow and burn myself. And try to get my eye under here. I'm looking at it sideways underneath and really trying to keep that cover as closed as possible. Unfortunately, it's a big piece to be folded under. There we go. That's what we wanted. All right. And this one's multi-folded. When possible, I prefer to unfold those all at the same time so that you only hit them with heat once. It's not always possible if they're truly crumpled, but I think we can get it. If this were my issue, I would probably put a little piece of tape on the inside of that, a little bit of archival tape just to hold it all down. Of course, tape is viewed as damage by CGC. And not restoration, which in this case I think you could take advantage of to add a little itty bitty shred of structural integrity. All right, I'm going to hit that just with the lightest hit of the iron as is. I'll flip it on over. I'm going to start there in the hopes that we can get some of this fiber to roll over. I really would love to hit the spine roll, and that is a true spine roll. But it just does not have the structural integrity to do it. So, yeah. Which is okay. You can't win them all, and you definitely don't want to force them. If I've learned anything from doing this, it's if you force stuff, bad things will happen. Oh, there you go. We can get that fiber there to unfold quite a bit. I think that might actually loop to the front. So if I flatten this out, we might see if we can get it to roll on over. Nope, it's gonna be stubborn. Nope, no. Yeah, we can get that a little bit better. You can see where the staple tear is right through there. That's partially why that fiber is disconnected. I'm gonna have to take a slightly different angle here on the iron, and this one I am gonna do direct iron on the fiber. Not my favorite thing to do, but there's no way for me to get that SRP paper to wrap around like that. So, the iron, by the way, is hottest right in the middle here, and so if you use the edge up here, it's significantly cooler. So that's part of what, at least according to my IR heat gun. So we'll try to do that, and then we're just gonna gently pick this thing up. Checking, yep, there's dog-eared paper in there. So if you open that on up, you can see all the inner wraps. There's dog ears on top. So these are a little bit more straightforward. This can bust off. Saving that nice big juicy section in here for the end. Might not actually use the cotton round. This you kind of got to do page by page. But again, I dab it, get a little bit of moisture in there, open it, roll the Q-tip over it, and then slide the iron towards the corner to help flatten it out. Alright, I think I'm running out of juice here on my Q-tip, so I'm just going to redampen that. Especially before we have this nice big corner chunk. Thing, by the way, I did not dry clean, and I don't think it's worth the risk of doing so. There's a little bit of dirt down here, and there's a little bit of dirt up there, but I don't think it's, you know, a significant amount given the overall structural damage to the book, and so I do not plan on dry cleaning it. Let's see if this chunk is on the inside or not. It is not. It's just detached. We did that. There's a little bit down here on the bottom. We'll go over. You know what? Actually, I think we can do a little bit of dry cleaning, mostly on this bottom area. It looks like there's a little bit more structural integrity there. I do not want to do anything near that top staple, though. You know, we'll see if we can hit that. Now that I'm looking at it, I think we might be able to get a little bit. Don't want to do much, though. Something red would hit that. Somebody had some Kool-Aid funding, so there's a little bit of red on the interior wraps, so they're staining. All right, now we get the big fun section right in the middle. This one is going to be a puzzle. I actually do not know how this thing is messed up on here. I think we're actually looking at the interior cover. I think. Yeah. I'll get the Q-tip in there. Yeah. You can see it's not fully attached. It's definitely torn off. It's twisted too. And scrunched. Scrunched needs more water. I'm gonna have to roll that a couple of times and risk some additional staining for the scrunch. We're also gonna have to push with a smidge of pressure to try to unscrunch it. Look at that, how fun was that, huh? All right, and this time I am applying just a touch of pressure there as I wiggle it across. Yep, that's about as good as that's gonna get. All right, I'm gonna clear my iron. And let's do a super light dry clean. You're gonna not push this thing more than the most cherry pick on top part. I'm gonna slide this over, move this off. Slide these out, so I'm just straight on my normal desk. So, all right, let's get some of the world's lightest dry clean in here. Usually I don't push too much with my left hand. In this case I am, because I want to avoid any risk of vibration to that top staple going through the book. Yeah, okay. I think that's about all we're going to do there. I got at least the majority. I will try to get some of these areas up top here. And like I said, this is the difference between brittle and fragile. So this book I would classify as being fragile, but it does not have true brittleness. All right, this is the delicate part here I'm nervous about. I'm applying a good amount of downward force with my left hand to try to keep that fiber tight. I think that's about all I'm going to do. There's no way I'm going anywhere near this section, so I think we are done on that. Now, as veteran watchers of the channel will know, I use E. Gerber Mylites. I can get some of these shavings out of here. And I have one sitting here. So this is a fullback, Silver Age sized E. Gerber Mylite. And we're going to see if this will slide right on in there very, very carefully. It doesn't look like it'll fit. I might have to go get a Golden Age one. Silver Age book should fit. No, that'll be good. That'll be good. You just want to watch the, especially with those pieces dangling out there. What I'm doing is pushing on the board on the bottom. Yep, that's what you don't want, is for the comic to slide up. So if the comic slides, then you have to grab the comic a little bit. And we got that part there still attached. So this is, you know, what I would consider a very fragile book, not truly brittle. You know, the paper fiber itself is okay. It's just somebody beat the snot out of it over the intervening. Now, if this is a 63 book, 64 book, you know, it's 60 years, so understandable. I always attribute those things to little Timmy. Little Timmy loved his Spider-Man, and who can blame him for that? So that one's pretty good. I was really pleased with that, and the back, of course, looks much, much better, and I think that this area up here looks a lot better too. So that's at least how I deal with some of these, you know, fragile books, and hopefully you enjoyed that and don't mind giving me a thumbs up. Click that subscribe button down below. This one I'm not going to wait until it comes back from CGC for, because we're going to call this one low grade, and the point is really just to preserve it for the owner to get it in as nice a shape as possible. So take care. Click the subscribe button, give the video a thumbs up, drop some comments down below. If you were eating popcorn in deep anticipation of a piece coming loose, I'm sorry to disappoint you on this one. Stay care and keep collecting what you enjoy.